Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch, and welcome today to a review that is long overdue. It is finally the turn of the Vario Empire GMT, potentially the perfect retro GMT, and a watch that I've had in the house since last year. I even took it to Tassie with me earlier this year, where I wore it to my uncle's wedding, so I have had plenty of time to get my head around its strengths and its weaknesses. And believe me, it has more strengths than weaknesses. So a couple of things before I go on. My apologies to Ivan, the brand owner, for taking my sweet time about the review, and thanks to him for sending me the watch. I do not have to send it back. GMTs are all over the place and have been for the last couple of years, but not many of them look like this one. Let's flip the camera and have a look at it.
Me already? Okay, that was a brief intro. I better get on with it. It's going to be a fairly brief review today. I have already featured the watch in that What's in the Watch Roll Tassie Wedding episode, so you've had a good look at it before now anyway. Before I even talk about the packaging, let's talk about colours and let's talk about price. So 4 of these are available, 4 different colour variants named after the 4 seasons. We've got Winter White, which is silver, Autumn Salmon, there's Spring Green, which is the one I have, and Summer Blue. I think they're all really nice colour versions. I think they all suit the watch. Having said that, I asked specifically for the Spring Green because I think it's the best of them. All the same price, 1,078 Australian dollars, a nice round number there obviously. That does include a bracelet and a strap though, so there is a bit of extra value there. Don't forget about your import taxes though. Over a grand Aussie means it adds 10% goods and services tax here. Check your local jurisdiction for more information. If that price seems high on initial impression, don't forget this is not a Seiko powered GMT. This is a Miyota 9075 powered GMT. They, at the moment, are much more expensive. Miyota seem to be trying to claw back some of the development costs, perhaps, by fixing the price of these movements at a high level at the moment. And they're not giving them to everybody. Ivan, the owner of Vario, was one of the first micro brands to get a hold of these 9075s. Apparently, there is quite a rigorous vetting process that you have to undergo or endure before they will even look at you for them. All right, in terms of packaging, it comes like this. It comes in one of Vario's own watch pods. Now, they sell these watch pods. It does mean, unfortunately, that it's a slightly kind of disconnected packaging setup. You have the warranty card there. It is only a 1-year warranty, though. That will be featuring in the Moans and Niggles section. Nice warranty card, though, there. Just emphasising that this one is Art Deco inspired, Empire State Building inspired. And as I said, it comes with a bracelet and a strap. You do get a choice of the straps. It would have been nicer in a box though, I have to say. This is obviously protects it in transit and then protects it in your cupboard, but yeah, perhaps it would have been neater if it had all been contained within the one package. Now, as much as I am, in inverted commas, a bracelet guy, I prefer the leather strap on this one to the bracelet. The bracelet is okay, and I will show you it on wrist a bit later on, but I've been wearing it on the leather because Vario make great leather straps. It's a really nice, soft, supple and comfortable grain leather, almost like an Epson style here. Nice colour match stitching, quick release, Vario branded, good hardware, double retainers. You do get a choice of about 6 different colour versions of the strap to match your chosen of the 4 colour versions of the Empire GMT. This was the one that was supplied. It's super comfortable and I have been enjoying it. In fact, I've been generally enjoying the Vario Empire GMT. I think it is a sweet little watch. I think it perfectly encapsulates the deco look, and I don't think I could have taken anything better with me to go with that wedding outfit in Tasmania. I thought I looked rather spiffy, and I thought the Vario looked perfect on my wrist throughout. However, before we go on with the praise, let's address the elephant in the room. What Vario have chosen to do here is make a GMT watch, adding a 4th hand and a complication, but removing the date complication. So this is all about international jet setting and travelling, tracking 2 time zones and being able to jump between them on the move, because this is a true GMT movement. However, you're going to be able to track that second time zone, but you're not going to be able to know what date it is in either time zone. Look, this isn't the only GMT that I have reviewed in recent years. There was a Borealis a couple of years ago that added a 4th hand but knocked off the date. It's very much an aesthetic choice. This isn't the biggest watch in the world. where would they have integrated a date? Would you have stuck it in at 3, destroying the symmetry? Would you have tried to squeeze it in at 6, knocking out that lovely Deco 6 there and ruining that GMT wheel within it? I don't know. I think they've done the right thing here. I think we need to be honest with ourselves. We buy GMTs because they're cool. We buy GMTs because they're fun and they're relatively affordable complication. We don't really buy GMTs because we are crossing date lines and time zones on a daily basis. If you are, perhaps this isn't the watch for you. Perhaps you're better off with something with a date complication. But I, for one, think they did the right thing here. Alright, with that out the way, let's talk dimensions. I said it wasn't a particularly large watch, and it isn't. They call it a 38, I measure it at 37.8. Not thick though, 11.8, the benefits of using a Miyota 9000 series movement. 45.3mm lug to lug, drilled lugs there as well, not that you really need them because everything is quick release. They've gone for a sensible 20mm between the lugs, and as supplied on the leather strap anyway, it weighs in at 78 grams. Flat sapphire, maybe a little bit of anti-reflective, but there is a bit of bounce back with this one. 50 meters of water resistance from a push-pull crown, and I've talked about the movement already, Miyota 9075. If you haven't encountered one of these before, the 9075 is a 24 jewel hacking and hand-winding Japanese-made automatic with a beat rate of 4 Hz, so 28,800 vibrations per hour. I did say it was a true GMT, meaning it works slightly different from a collar GMT. Pull the crown out to the first position, and you do not adjust the GMT hand. Instead, you adjust the hour hand. Now, the movement hasn't hacked, so you don't have to keep resetting it. If you are crossing time zones, you just pull the crown out and adjust appropriately. If you want to adjust the GMT hand, you need to hack the movement. So you set this one initially by adjusting the GMT hand and the minute hand first, and then you go back and you adjust the hour hand. So, there's pros and cons to both of these. In some ways, by dropping the date, Ivan has ameliorated one of the cons. It doesn't have a quick set date function, so you are skipping that hour hand round and round and round and round in order to adjust the date, but obviously not in this case. Can't see it because it's a closed case back. Again, Empire State Building, Art Deco style. I believe this one is pretty much carried over from the Empire three-hander that preceded it. Made in Japan, I guess that's another reason for this one's increased price tag relative to the three-hander. It's got the fancier movement, plus it was made in Japan rather than China. Case finish is very pleasant. It's a traditional three-piece case, so we have the mid-case, a fixed bezel and screw-on case back. Vertical brush to the sides of the case featuring those drilled lugs, and there's a couple more Art Deco references. There's those slightly angular raised edges. It looks like the lugs are a separate component, but they are in fact a piece of the mid case. Now the crown on the other side, another little retro touch there, onion crown. You gotta love an onion crown, particularly on a piece like this. Alright, dial and hands, look at this thing, it is lovely. And like I said, I specifically asked for this green version because I think it is great. I think it's a lovely colour combination because they have combined it with gunmetal grey. Those numerals, the applied numerals, the GMT markings on the inner ring there, the hands themselves aren't jet black, they are gunmetal, and I think all the better for it. But have a look at how much complexity there is on that dial. That's a guilloche patterning in the center section, the hands are all skeletonized, I think they're beautifully elegant. Those numerals, the 2, the 6, the 8, the 0, the 4, the 1, they are all screaming Art Deco. They're screaming 1920s, 1930s, and I think they're just about the best Art Deco style numerals that I have ever seen on a watch. Some brands try it and don't get it right. Vario have been doing this for a while. They have got it just right. Branding is kept to a minimum, and as the Vario logo is fairly inoffensive, it goes well with this style of retro watch. And another nice touch that you don't necessarily see at first glance are those grey concentric circles underneath the large numerals on the outer section of the dial, just before we get to the printed minute track. And my macro lens never messes around, it picks up imperfections, it picks up dust, it hasn't picked up either of those things. In this case, yeah, I guess that Japanese assembly does cost extra, but perhaps it's worth the extra in this case. And it wears sweetly even if I am somewhat annoyingly between holes on the leather strap. Isn't that always the way? This is it tight just so it's not flopping around everywhere for the camera, but I was wearing it loose in Tassie and I have been wearing it loose when I have been wearing it since then. But a great size, nice and slim at under 12mm, 78 grams, comfortable leather strap. Yeah, no complaints at all about how it wears on the leather. But as this one is also supplied with a bracelet, I should really show you it on the bracelet. Now, it's a single link bracelet trying to masquerade as a far more complex 7-link bracelet using brushing, polishing and pressing, but yeah, those are just single links. Butterfly clasp, but as you can see there, they have provided half links. There's a couple of half links, so you should be able to get a decent fit out of this one, even though it doesn't have a kind of micro adjust system. And quick release end links, in addition to those drilled lugs, means no problem swapping back and forth with the supplied leather strap. Switching to an overhead shot to discuss legibility then. Not so much. Smaller than average dial, skeletonized hands, lots of complexity on that dial. It's not really what this watch is about, is it? I mean, it's not dreadful. You can see the 4 main hands just about from here, but yeah, that's not what it's about. If legibility is a concern for you, then maybe this isn't the watch for you. But if you're okay with having a second glance at a watch or having a close look at it, it's worth it, I think. It's lovely looking. But that doesn't mean to say I'm not going to complain about a few things. Starting with that warranty. Over a grand Aussie, 1-year warranty. They really should be offering 2 with this, I think, as standard. And the bracelet is not as nice as the strap. It feels a bit generic, it feels a bit off the shelf. Push pins hold it together, and I had difficulty getting some of those pins out. As I said, I have been wearing it on the leather. I think perhaps most people will do the same as I have. And of course, I've already mentioned the situation regarding the lack of date and that slight contradiction of adding one complication whilst removing another. But if you're on board with all of that, this thing is really, really nice. I like what Ivan does. He kind of plows his own furrow and has been doing so for years. I can't think of any other micro brand that doesn't have at least one dive watch in its range. Vario doesn't. He makes these lovely, sweet little watches, retro style, very well conceived, very well executed, and by and large, pretty fairly priced as well. Perhaps it's not the perfect retro GMT, but it gets pretty close.
So there you have it, definitely a case of form over function, taking away the date by adding a 4th hand, but that's okay. This one will have strong appeal to fans of the brand, fans of smaller watches, fans of retro watches, fans of original designs. Basically, this one has strong appeal. If you want to check out a couple more Varios, click here or click here. Thanks for making it all the way to the end. I'll see you all again in the next one.